to all deaf, no users how not to be alone in your Discord. And this talk is about not how to build your app, but instead how to get people using it, how to get people knowing about it, how to get people involved. Because really, that's more than half the battle. And we'll talk about that throughout this lecture. Now, if a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? And, this is an existential question here. However, in the context of what we're talking about, if you create an app and you launch it and no one's actually using it, is it really a app? And, there's some reasons to create stuff that, you don't end up using, of course, or releasing to public, using people on testnet. But really, it's best to get it out there, get people using it, let people find out those bugs, let people interact with it, and I guarantee you're going to have a lot more satisfaction with what you are doing. And you don't have this perception, right? If you build it, it will come. I think this is especially true for us on the junior side of things, and we build applications, and we think, we built something so awesome that it's just going to attract people to it, and they're going to show up and use it. But the fact is that may not be the case. And it's actually a movie titled, or came from a movie called Field of Dreams, and it's the real line is, if you build it, you will come. But really, most of us, say, if you build it, they will come. So, it's a little reference to the movie there. So, welcome to the creator economy. I'm not sure if my blog post traffic is coming from visitors or me obsessively thinking all day. So, what we're seeing in the creator economy, and what we have seen, is it becomes less about quality of content for your application in this case, but more about the needs of discoverability. So, you can see YouTube, Amazon, there's all these really wonderful things on these applications, indexes or databases of applications, or books, or videos, whatever it may be. But if we can't find it, we can't enjoy it. So, here's my promise to you for this talk. You will learn at least 3 things, at least 2 things, 1, 2, 3, that will bring in more users to your application. And this is, write it down, these are 3. This is who I am. I am Nervos. I'm the head of developer relations at the Nervos Foundation. So we're an L1 blockchain. As well as we have an L2, we're working on our sidechain pretty soon, and lots of other goodies. So go ahead and Google us later, Nervos Foundation and Nervos Blockchain. Now, how this ties into this talk specifically is, when we're working in developer relations, and we've been there for a while, it gives us a unique perspective on people building applications because we watch them go through the whole process. We're hopefully able to help them go through the process, but it also helps us see the points where people fail often or where they get stuck. Therefore, it gives us, like I said, sort of a unique perspective on helping people get through this process and to do it better. And for this, I have 4 steps to success for getting people to use and notice and be happy with your DApp. And we're going to only cover, though, 3 of them in this talk. And this is just due to time. We only have a certain amount of time. But we're going to talk about setup, a little bit about content, a little bit about community. We're not going to talk about paid advertising. It's just out of the scope of what we're able to cover. However, this is an important 4th and last step, and one that you shouldn't overlook. However, another however, is that paid advertising should be more towards the end when you have these things started to get the most out of it, not the start. If you're paying for people to come to your site or whatever it is, you don't have any content, you don't have a community, you don't have everything set up, you're really wasting a lot of money there. So make sure that you take the first 3 steps here before you jump directly into that 4th step. Now, when do we start doing this? When do we start marketing? And MailChimp had a report written by a third-party independent research firm, and this was done, I believe, in 2019. And they conducted a survey of 505 small business owners in the US that were either developing a business or had launched basically in the last 2 years. And what was the key takeaway from their study? And the key takeaway actually became the name of the report, and it's called Why Small Businesses Should Start Marketing on Day One, a MailChimp report. So if that's not a big hint to you about when you should start marketing, which is day one, or essentially before day one, I don't know what it is. So there it is, straight from MailChimp. Start your marketing right now if you haven't already done so. So then you're asking yourself, who is marketing stuff before they've actually done anything? Well, all of these people, all of them. Every video game ever made, pretty much these days, every movie, everyone's marketing long before they actually have anything done. And for us as consumers, sometimes it can be sort of annoying, but at the same time, it is necessary in today's world, especially where discoverability is such an issue. And next I want to read you this quote by Greg Eisenberg. Community is the new marketing. You don't build a community to promote your product, you build a community so you don't have to promote your product. So wait a minute, I thought we were talking about marketing, not community. And who is this dude? So this is the growth advisor at TikTok. And he was the head of product strategy at WeWork, an advisor to Reddit, and so on and so forth. So we're actually going to talk a lot about community as marketing or community instead of marketing in this talk, because I'm a really firm believer in that, and I think that really also encapsulates a lot of what Web3 really is about. It's interesting. We, I think as a generation, and people in today in general, really don't like to be told what to do. We like to have control of what we're doing. Web3 is really about having control of your own data. And this is something that, marketing versus community, there's a big difference here, right? So marketing is often, you being told what to think, you being told what you should like, versus community allows people to give feedback and contributions to the product itself and help shape that and be a part of it. So it's quite different in that. And so we're going to circle back to community in a little bit, but I just wanted to throw that out there at the beginning to help you think of that concept of the difference between marketing and community. So let's talk about the setup. Now, this is the foundation of what you're going to need, and you're probably familiar with at least some of this, otherwise you probably wouldn't be here. I think it's hard to exist on the internet without knowing about Twitter these days. But you definitely should have set up a Twitter, a Discord, you're going to need email, and a website. Of course, Reddit is optional, but it's also a good one. So, again, you need these social media accounts to start building up a community, getting general sentiments, and engaging with your followers. So these are some good ones. And you know what, I can't decide, is that an email or is that Telegram? So maybe that's what I meant to have in there. But obviously Telegram is another very popular one for crypto as well. So this is probably the most important one these days, or better or worse. We do a lot of networking using Discord, and I like to call it the Discord DAO, Discord Always Organization DAO. And so we really can't get away from this. And so I want to talk about some specific tips here that we've learned or picked up over the last year or two specifically about working with Discord. Now, these are some of the channels that you should make sure that you have. So a welcome channel, a verification channel, some sort of info channel with your community links and other information, and possibly an announcement channel. Then we also like to have general chat, supporting, and report bots. So Let me go into the next one here. Okay, so this is important. Reaction rules. So we didn't start out with reaction rules ourselves, and these weren't necessarily popular a little ways back, but they've really come a long way. And you can set up reaction rules using either Me6Bot or CarlBot. So I really strongly suggest using one of the two of these, and they have easy to use dashboards and free tiers to this. So if you're not familiar with what reaction rules is, it's when someone comes into your Discord and then they can pick one of those little sticker reactions, like a little smiley face or something like that, or a thumbs up, and it assigns them a specific role. And how we actually use these, and if you haven't used this before, is you put a bunch of little stickers there that don't attach to any specific role, but you put one to one correct role, such as like verified. And then this helps to weed out bots or other automated attacks to the Discord, and people can click off their verification using a little sticker. As well, it actually allows people to help self-select. And this is an important thing. So say, for example, your, let's say it's an NFT project, and your NFT project is about cats and dogs. And you could have two verification roles here, one called I love cats and one called I love dogs. And by having both of these options, people can self-select their roles and they self-identify who they are. And we're going to see this a little bit farther in the community section, but this helps the people to differentiate themselves and say, this is who I am. But also from a marketing point of view, this gives a good amount of research to say, hey, who likes cats, who likes dogs? So self-selecting roles, super important, really useful. Spam or ham. So again, this is really, really important these days. Set your moderation level to at least medium. Require all admins to have two-factor authentication on Discord. So we're seeing a lot of spam, scams, and all kinds of things on Discord these days. So it's important to follow some of these rules here. Consider auto-moderation. Avoid using discovery if you're a crypto or NFT community. Minimize the need for the users to turn on DM. So normally we don't DM people at all as much as possible. Make sure you have a channel specifically for reporting bots and scams. Yeah, super important. Make one channel just for this. Encourage people to use it. Check it often. Purely distinguish the team from the community. Yes, yes, yes. So this is also super good. Enable display role members separately from online members within your server role setting. So that means that if you have moderators, they should be shown on the side. It says, hey, these people's names, these are our moderators. Set up your vanity link and monitor them periodically for raids. So we've seen a lot of raids happening on Discord lately. And what this is where a certain community or a bunch of bots basically flood your Discord, and you will notice it when you have, like maybe 100 people join your Discord in like 10 minutes or 1,000. And what you need to do is usually go and find the invitation link that was used and refresh the page a couple of times and see which invitation link is getting used more often, and then block that link or delete it. So this is unfortunately a thing. Now, the last one here for Discord is we use CarlBot here to post this message once a day. You can have it 5 times a day or whatever you need to do. But really, what we're doing here is saying, the Nervos staff will never direct message you first. So anyone who's direct messaging you first, it's a scam. So, that's not us. Never share your wallet, seed phrase, private keys, or personal details. Beware of scammers. Beware of all giveaways. Do not click on suspicious links. So, go ahead and copy this out if you want, or come up with something similar, but make sure that you are protecting your Discord users above all else. So once you lose that trust from the community because you've been hacked, and sometimes it's unavoidable, but we should be doing everything we absolutely can to be avoiding it. Okay. So at this point, you've got your Twitter set up, you've got maybe Telegram, you have a website, and you have Discord. Now we need to talk about what to do with it, how to use this. So this section is the content. And this is sort of the basics for, all crypto projects these days. We have to have a roadmap, and we have to have a white paper, or you can have a light paper, one or the other. But unfortunately, or fortunately, this has become sort of the de facto norm. And if you don't have these things for your projects, people will be wondering what's going on. It doesn't seem legitimate. So go ahead and make sure you have sort of the basics covered. And once you're beyond the basics, it's really important to blog about it with people. So you can use hash nodes, dev.to or Medium. It really doesn't matter what it is, but you need to get some content out there about whatever your DApp is, whatever your topic of, area of expertise is. And so if you have an NFT store, you should be talking about different NFT drops. You should be talking about drops in your store. You should be talking about NFTs in general. It really doesn't matter, but you need to have at least, a couple of pieces of content out there, and that, this will become discoverable over time through Google, and you should have it linked to your website, to your social media and other things. So don't underestimate, having a blog and positioning yourself as an expert in your space or whatever you're building. So again, make content. Now let's talk about your Twitter content, and this again is really important. Crypto, as we probably know here for this conference, or maybe we don't, maybe we're new. Crypto has really, really embraced Twitter, and so having a certain amount of Twitter followers definitely helps to build up your community and your marketing. And one of the difficult things with Twitter I find is like, okay, what do I need to write on my Twitter? And I am not a huge Twitter person, and thankfully this Twitter content tips came from our marketing department and not from me. So if you follow me on Twitter, go ahead and do that. Click and follow me. These will give you some things to actually post on your Twitter account. So monthly recaps are really good. Community engagement is typically quite high on these things, and it serves as a reminder to them of the progress being made during the month. Highlights of your roadmap, yes. Keep everyone informed about what you're doing. Tell them what you're going to do. Tell them right before you do it. Tell them when it's done. Remind them that you've made all this progress. So important. Multiple posts a day, yeah. Helps to keep high engagement and confidence in investors or, just your users. So when people go silent on their Discord, or not Discord, sorry, their Twitter for a long time, certainly people begin to FUD and then say, okay, where did they go? Did they run off? Is this a rug pull? So people like to see frequent content. Don't underestimate the frequent content, even if you're not necessarily saying anything that's that important. Multiple giveaways each week. Okay, so I might have a little beef with this one. Don't do giveaways each week. I mean, you could do them each week if you have stuff to give away. You don't have to necessarily overdo this one though, so that it's too much and then people get overly used to it and they either expect it or it just becomes like too common that they're not interested in it anymore. So post wishing community well on different holidays. So this shows inclusivity and promotes good sentiment, and it's good. It's good for the heart and soul for yourself as well. So don't forget to wish people happy holidays. Fun tweets, coming up with content for the community, stickers, April Fools, etc. Yeah. So this is great. It's just play with your community and again try and be as happy with them and enjoy the process as much as possible. Asking the community for feedback. This one's huge. People want to feel involved and give their opinions. Not only do they want to feel involved, they should be involved. And I think, again, this is a really important part of Web3 in general, is this give and take, that really defines what we're doing in Web3. Redirecting followers to other social media accounts. Yes, Discord, Medium, LinkedIn, Instagram, totally. You can also redirect people to other people's Twitter accounts, especially if these are essentially non-competitive and value-aligned Twitter accounts. So share the love around with other people, and they may share the love around with you as well. Because really, this is how we typically traverse Twitter in a lot of ways. Is following from accounts to accounts and people reposting and resharing and this type of stuff. Okay, we're almost done here with Twitter. AMAs each month on Discord. Yeah, so I don't know if you can get away with each month. It really depends on how much you're doing or what you're doing, but AMAs are like really important with your community. So find, the community that you're part of. So if you've launched on Nervos, maybe you've launched in our L2 called Godwoken, reach out to the community. Go to the Telegram groups, go to the Discords and say, hey, I would love to do a community AMA. Where's the right place to do this? And let people direct you. So go ahead and make sure that you do that. Token burning announcements. So this is, if you're a DeFi project, of course. Graphics that are always new, fun, fresh, and on brand. Absolutely. So keep things visual as much as possible on Twitter. They help to catch the eye. If everything is only text, then that's not great. So there's a lot of tips here. Like, go ahead and write some of those down and try and incorporate a few of them in. Personally, I use a checklist for it, and then I make sure that I go through the checklist. Otherwise, I just really don't do it. So do what you can to get yourself organized and follow through as best as possible. Okay, let's talk about community. And for me, this is sort of the big one. More than content, more than setting things up or marketing, I think community is the biggest one in Web3 and, one of the most enjoyable parts. And, somewhat surprisingly, or maybe not somewhat surprisingly, there's a lot of theory and study around community. Community is such a large and inclusive word that, community could be like a country, it could be a city, communities can be around, ideas or ideals, and they're not restricted by geography, although they could be. So, this concept of what is a community has been quite well studied. And this is from the Sense of Community Theory, and it was created in 1986 by David McMillan and David Chavez. And they broke community down into the different parts. And they describe it as a feeling that members have of belonging, a feeling that members matter to one another and to the group, and a shared faith that members' needs will be met through the commitment together. And so that's a lot of blah blah to me. However, okay, so these are the 4 parts of community, and this makes more sense to me. So there's the concept of membership, influence, fulfillment, and connection. And so we need all 4 of these things, and I have 1, 2, 3, 3. There should be 1, 2, 3, 4. We need some amount of these 4 things in order to consider ourselves a community or have a successful community. So membership. So this is about boundaries, emotional safety, a sense of belonging, a common language, or rituals. Influence. So this is really about feeling like you matter. Like there's a certain amount of give and take, and it can't just be a one-way thing. That's not really community. That's essentially marketing. So if people don't feel like they're being listened to, they're going to leave. So fulfillment. So here we're talking about the fulfillments of personal needs. So did the person get what they wanted by joining the community, and what's the problem they're trying to solve? And the last one is connection or shared connection. So this is about bonding, shared hardships, AKA or war stories. And in the current market, it's about us all losing our money through the bad market. So that's our connection, our shared war story here. So I always like this meme here. So what if in the future we only communicated through memes? So in crypto, we certainly have our own sense of membership and community, and we have our own language, we have our own subcultures, our own rituals, and all these kind of things. So crypto in general is certainly a community. And this is a quote here: software is no longer sold, it's adopted. And this is really true for many products. We build identities around them. We don't just buy and consume them, but we bring them into our lives, our brains. And big companies, they spend a ton of money to stay up to date with consumer research. And it's a very difficult process, but as a smaller company or smaller project, we don't have the money for this. But what we can do instead is build communities around our projects, and we can stay really close to the metal here. meaning we can be part of our community and get this feedback very directly. And this is, one of the superpowers of being a small business or a small community to begin with, and we should really take advantage of that. So don't miss out on that opportunity to get direct feedback from your community and to play with them and be part of them while you're still able to. Because once your company starts to scale, this will become a much, much more difficult process. So some of the benefits of community over marketing here. So it's a much lower cost, but a higher time commitment. So communities are based off of us spending time and engaging rather than just paying for clicks or ads. The other really good thing about community over marketing is we have a much quicker turnaround time for feedback, and therefore we're able to iterate faster on our product or whatever we're making. And Web3 moves really fast. Like, I like to joke we have 3 times. We have regular time, we have startup time, and then we have crypto time. And with crypto time, we really, really need to keep up to date with what we're doing, and therefore communities are a really important part of that. We just don't have the time to go out and say, hire a consultation firm that's going to go out and do polling and research on our users, come back with a report, and then we're going to take months to turn around and iterate on it. That just does not happen in what we're doing right now. Okay, so this is called the social identity circle. So communities are essentially a shared social identity and participation. And I like this better than the 1, 2, 3, 4 here because this speaks to me more. And this is, essentially how people interact in communities and the steps or stages that they go through. And they go through identification, participation, validation, and then identification again. And as it goes in a circle, we tend to get deeper and deeper into the community. And certainly people do flow away from communities, of course. But this is the method that we use to become part of the community. So identity here is like what attracted the person to the group. And it's typically like we identify with something. So maybe on a very, very low level, maybe we're just interested in what they're doing, want to know a little bit more. Maybe we're like a fan or we're a super fan. We could be a really committed community member, right? So this is it. Then once we are somehow interested in this, then we have some kind of participation. We take some step. And this kind of participation can be very passive. Like it could be reading a blog article. Or it could be more active, like joining a Discord, filling in a form, sharing something on Twitter, maybe farther along, we make infographics or write an article or something like this as we participate in communities. Then what happens is we validate or we get some type of validation from it. Again, on the very low level, maybe we join the Discord and people from the community welcome us and say, hey, good morning, right? And this is validation for our participation. We joined, we're rewarded. And maybe we write articles and other members validate us by, upvoting or liking something. And we're seen as knowing something. We get kudos for a meme. We get a share where maybe we become moderators or experts in the field. And as these things are validated, we identify with the group even more. We double down on our investment. And as we identify more, we participate more, we get validated more, and so on and so forth. So this is a circle, like I said, called the social identity circle of how community works and people become parts of community. And as they go through the social identity circle, people typically go through 4 stages of participation. So this is as we get deeper and deeper into that cycle. And certainly we can jump over them, but we don't necessarily have to. And so we have essentially passive members. So these are people who are just like consuming the content that we produce. We have active members, people who are registering, engaging, maybe creating like small things. We have power members. So these are people who are really engaged often, they're committed to the community, and they typically have high contributions. And then lastly, we have leaders. So these are people who take on moderator roles, maybe they launch local chapters of whatever you're doing. and this kind of stuff. And so typically, what we want to do here is especially focus on the power members and leaders. And this is our inner 20%. And this inner 20%, trickles down to the outer 80% as they help to take care of those members as well. And this is not a super clear picture, but we can look at another one in a minute. And this is called the community commitment curve. And I'm thinking about how I want to talk about this. So the community commitment curve is like really, really important. So if you don't take any other notes, take this note, write down the word community commitment curve, go and Google it later to learn more about the community commitment curve and how it can help you. And what it does is it lists all the things based on time by commitment that people could do to be part of your community. And if we're going from left to right, this is like passive to active to power users to leaders to finally at the end. So at the very bottom of it, it says like read the purpose, read member profiles, look at photos. Then it could be like read blogs, read forums, message other members, write a post, lead a forum, attend an event, and so on and so forth, and to the point where you're leading events yourself. And the theory is based on the fact that most people don't just jump to the end of the curve. Like we don't say, hey, tomorrow I'm going to hold a meetup because I read your newsletter today. And in fact, people move themselves along the curve in a natural fashion. And the best way to do this, in my mind, is to, if you're familiar with Agile, sort of like when you're planning things Agile, write all of the ways that people could interact with your community, such as read a blog post, share a blog post, join your community, all these things. Right? Write them down on pieces of paper, cut them out, and then organize them in relation to each other, which is, the most committed and the most amount of time to the least until you have them on a curve, right? And it's easiest to do this in relation to each other rather than just trying to write them down all on paper in order. So this way you can very tactilely feel and move them around until you get in the right way. Then go ahead and write it down on a curve like this. Once it's down on the curve, try and find the holes here on your community commitment curve where there are no things to do. So if, for example, you have, read the purpose of your website and then the next nearest thing is attend an event, there's a huge gap between that. And you need to learn to create enough items, whether it's by creating more content, more things for people to do to fill up that commitment curve. Okay, so here's another one. And so this one's broken down into sections here like discovery, onboarding, engagement, leadership, or these could be the 4 stages. And so actually the community commitment curve, I believe, was created by Douglas Atkins. And so he was the head of community at Airbnb, and I'm not sure if he still is. But this is becoming more and more mainstream to use. And it's a really, really good tool to find out or to help people onboard onto what you're doing, right? So if people are not following through with the onboarding process, maybe people sign up for something but then never get any further than this. You need to figure out why on the community commitment curve have they not moved past something else. Okay, we're about 2/3 down the talk almost, so we're getting towards the end. And I just want to talk about a couple of pitfalls and myths around communities. And the first is around the concept of like instant community. It takes time. All communities take time to build. Don't let that be something that defeats you at the beginning. Just give it time, be present, be there every day. The next is that size matters most. This is really not true. You can have a really small, super committed community that is much more effective than a very large, watered down community. So size does not always matter. There's a simple hack to getting communities. It's not true. People will try and sell you this idea, these 5 simple tips will get you, the awesome community. This is the community hack. Don't buy into that. All communities will be successful. Totally not true. Unfortunately, as much as we would like it to be true, it's not true. If your community is not successful, don't worry. it's the right time to pivot. Take stock, figure out why, use that as a learning opportunity, and then move forward. It won't take that much time. Yeah, no, it will. Communities take time. And that's the thing of community versus marketing. Like we said, communities take more time than they do money, but it has different kind of benefits. Communities are organic. Yeah, no. Again, mostly that's a lie. We know that like Reddit started with like a couple of employees just pretending to be different people and messaging themselves, and this is going to be true of most communities. And I'm not saying you need to pretend to be a couple people and message yourself, but you might have to bring in a couple of friends, you might have to do some contests and do other things to help, inorganically build your community. Members are there to be sold, yeah. Don't use your members there to be sold. Use your members to communicate with and give feedback and bounce ideas off with, and be an actual community. Community is just marketing by another name. Yeah, Okay, I regret nothing. Okay, so some final tips here on community building. Make community home, a place to be accepted, right? So make the community a place that you actually want to be. If you don't want to be in your own community, probably no one else does. So make it somewhere comfortable. Allow ownership within the community. So this is a really big one, I think. It's important for people that they feel like they have ownership of certain things, and that they do have ownership, right? That's what helps to build an actual community. Another really tough one for me that comes to the top of my head here, and is difficult for me, is create rules and enforce them. I don't like to be a rule enforcer, but you do need to have those kinds of enforcements, otherwise your community tends to start to crumble over time as it gets eroded by bad actors. So make sure that you enforce those rules. Perform daily or weekly rituals. So we really like this in crypto already. We like to do our good mornings and other things like this and share memes and stuff. But make sure that you keep up with those rituals. That really helps to hold communities together. Another really big one around this is design spaces that are authentic and be sincere. So just, like your mama told you when you were dating, be yourself, everyone will love you for who you are. That's a lie, the second part, not everyone will love you for who you are. But being authentic will attract more people than not being authentic. So, let out a little bit of your personal side in this and, be sincere. Okay, a little bit of a summary here. And actually, you know what? It's not a summary. It's a little bit of advice here. And it's a little bit of a secret. So this is my parting advice to you as a grumpy old man, is help other people make connections. And this doesn't seem like marketing advice or community advice or dApp building advice, but it is. Help other people make connections. So Alice and Bob, and Alice and Bob don't know each other, but they're working in a similar space. Maybe they're working in DeFi, but you're an NFT project. I want you to take the time to connect Alice and Bob together and say, hey, Alice, Bob is working on something similar to you. You guys should totally connect. And go ahead and make those connections to other people without expecting anything in return. Over time, you will become known as a person that helps people, that helps connect people. And over time, this will help you grow your own community and your own reputation. And really, don't expect anything from making these kinds of connections, but go ahead and go out and do it today. If you're at the symposium listening to this, the conference, or if you're doing this after because you're watching the recording, think of two people that are working on something similar, people you like, people who maybe could help each other. Maybe they can't help each other, they can just vent to each other about what they're doing. Go ahead and make that connection for them and start that process right now, because this is such an important skill for networking, and that networking will build your community. Okay, so some of the things that we learned, this is the actual summary. Start early. Have a place to be found. So this is your social media, your websites, your content that you've written. Have a way to get self-educated, and by this I mean have a way for other people to get self-educated about your project. So whether it's white papers, roadmaps, or other content, Have a self-serve method for other people to get help, so you don't always have to be the one doing that. Know what your users can do, fill in the gaps. So this is the community commitment curve. Have a list of all the ways that your users can possibly interact with you and become part of your community. Figure it out, fill in those gaps. And lastly, and probably the most important, is be consistent. And this is the most hard one. At least it is for me. I like to work really hard for a while, and then I burn out and take time off, and then I come back. And this is difficult to build a community this way. So again, be consistent as much as possible. So that's my summary. Okay, so at Nervos, or it's spun off, it started from Nervos, we have something called Build Club, and this is like a really awesome program that I was very fortunate to be able to help start. And so this is one of our ways of building community, and anyone can come and join Build Club and build, but we also have a guided building program. So it includes marketing support, technical support. We do lectures that are available for anyone who's part of Build Club, which is free. We have some peer-to-peer support. We introduce people to VCs or IDOs. We also do grants up to $20,000. So come and check out Build Club. And this is our socials here. And I kept it nice and simple here. You can look us up on Twitter. One is Nervos Network is the blockchain, so that's where I'm the head of developer relations. But I really encourage you to follow Build Club. So it's Build Club XYZ, and that's where you can often find me hanging out, is in Build Club, building stuff. I'm working on my own projects right now. Everyone's got their side projects, so it's always fun. Come share, come hang out, come tell me what you learned here today. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the conference. Thank you for sticking with me. And I really hope you learned 3 things today. Goodbye.